Let's get ready to rumble.
Yes, hello, welcome back. It's me, your host this week, Shaun, and I'm joined by the best there was, the best there is, and potentially the best there ever will be. Liam, how you doing?
I didn't know Mark was joining us tonight. I'm very well. That's a lovely intro. 98 episodes in, Shaun. You've still not nailed down a good intro. I like to see it.
I like to mix it up for all those listeners all around the world, you know.
Good. Oh, listen, I'm certainly surprised every time. You always leave me satisfied anyway.
Give you a wee bit of morning glory as well, eh?
Aye.
Something that certainly doesn't give anyone morning glory is the thought of Hibs' performances recently, and we're going to dive right into it, Liam, before we get any further, actually. Talk about the nitty-gritty, and then we'll talk about where we're at. Big week ahead for the Hibs. Hopefully a few transfer targets don't slide away from us as well. So we'll make our way through it, and we'll see what your thoughts are. You've done hosting duties the last couple of weeks, so a wee bit of pressure off you, so we'll roll with it, see what happens.
I'm in holiday mode now, mate, that's what it is.
Good lad. I wanted to get your thoughts, first of all, actually, on the team from the weekend. I think that's probably the best place to start as well. There was a lot of talk in the build-up of it, of pretty much was Kwon going to start? Was Bowie going to start? What was your thoughts in the lead-up to it, and were you happy with the team that started?
Yeah, I think, after the game against Celtic at Parkhead, David Gay probably would have come away from that with a little bit of a master plan and, been able to find out who he wants to be playing. I was hoping that Bowie would have been playing, but Gray said after in his post-match that he's just not quite up to speed yet, which I think is, fair enough, but I thought he'd had a pre-season down at Fulham. I might be wrong.
It was decided a couple of weeks later. That was probably
right enough. So I would have liked to have seen Bowie starting, but we might not see that for another couple of weeks. But I think it was important that Kwon started. I think he's going to be quite a pivotal player in this system. He's obviously going to be that anchor, that hook, sitting in front of the back four or the back five, whatever Dave Gray wants to play. But no, listen, I thought that it probably would have been the team that I would have picked. Apart from, I would have had Bowie in if possible, but these things are what they are.
Yeah, Bowie mentioned in his post-match interview actually that he's had like 3 lots of 30 minutes now, so he definitely feels ready to make a better impact. So I guess when we get on to Killie, when previewing that, I guess we'll probably both just assume that he's maybe going to get a start. But back to the weekend's match, obviously poor, well, in my opinion, just a poor all-round match, if I'm being completely honest. Poor first half in particular. Obviously we conceded again. I feel like a lot of our goals at the minute, the 2 at the weekend in particular, especially the first one, self-inflicted. Now, surprisingly, Lewis Miller's got a wee bit of hate regarding his positional sense at that point, but for me, Jordan Obita is probably the main culprit, and then Kwon is probably the other culprit in the breakdown there in that opener for Dundee. So how did you see it unfold?
Just an absolute catalogue of errors, to be honest. I will kind of counter what you said. I think for a neutral, it was a great game to watch. It was end to end at times, especially in the second half. But for a Hibs fan, maybe not the easiest game to watch. But no, listen, I feel like we've not learned, or it certainly looked as if we hadn't learned anything from any of our mistakes that we've made previously. Probably even since the Celtic game. So it's frustrating to see that. David Grace again saying the same things in his post-match. Just when are these players going to learn how to defend and not go 10 minutes without conceding a goal? It's getting on my nerves now, Shaun.
Yeah. Obviously they almost went 2-0 up if it wasn't for VAR, which is the right decision, I guess. But at that point, did you maybe see the result little by little sliding away from us?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. It's just one of those games, we've been there so many times where, a team, I don't want to say a team like Dundee, because I feel like that would be giving them like less credit than they deserve. I think they're a good side. They're a good footballing side, better than they have been historically since I've been going to the football.
Yeah.
So, but we've seen it so many times, especially recently, that teams that we should maybe be looking to beat and expecting to beat coming to us and turning us over. St Mirren last year was one of them, twice actually. Livingston, teams like that, coming to us and doing a number. It's frustrating. I can't remember what you asked me. I've lost my train of thought. But I tell you what,
If you thought
it's annoying.
if you thought the writing was on the wall and you saw the result, sliding away from
Yeah,
us,
no, I
the
did.
second one, but we obviously
I did.
managed to get back into it. Martin Boyle stepping up. Did you see that? Not necessarily the goal coming, but did you see a way of us actually being able to get back into it, being at the game, and there already seemed like there was a bit of a, not a toxic atmosphere, but there just seemed like the fans were already on edge and just really frustrated, probably because of the results that have already happened so far this season. I know that we're early doors, but did you see us getting back into it at that point? I know it's only 1-0, but you've just gave Dundee their flowers. How did you see us maybe getting back into it?
Well, to be honest, I think that after maybe 30, 35 minutes, we started to get into it a little bit without creating an awful lot. For the most part of the first half, the ball was up in the sky most of the time from our point of view. So it was frustrating, but then we started to come into it a little bit more. But no, like, exactly what you said. It had a really, really big game feel, and it felt like we needed to get the points. And as we started to come into it towards the end of that first half, you could maybe sense the crowd a little bit start to, no, relax. I don't think that's the right word to use, but maybe like sort of get their belief back that this isn't a team that's completely hopeless, and there's players in this team. I went on the big Scottish football pod yesterday, on Monday, and I was talking to you and Cameron and the other guy about it, and
What a shame for you.
I was saying, hey,
What a shame for you having to speak to you and Cameron.
I know. Thankfully, it was on the phone; it wasn't face to face. But no, I was saying to them, listen, I think we've got a really good skeleton of a team here. We just need to add the other bits. I think that the players that we've got are certainly good enough to get to where we expect to be and where we want to be. So it's just a case of getting the belief back, and I think that will come with the sort of performances that we saw on Saturday. Yeah, we conceded a late goal, and we'll come on to that a little bit later on, but I felt for the most part, second half especially, it's probably been one of the better performances that I've seen from us this season.
Yeah, moving on to the second half, obviously getting that goal at half time, it's cliche.
What a zinger, by the way.
There's probably
Absolute
a montage
zinger.
on Twitter with loads of managers saying it's the perfect time to get a goal and stuff like that. But yeah, you're right. It is a zinger. The momentum was kind of in our favour at that point, and then obviously we managed to go 2-1 up as well. So a real mixed emotions of a day, as David Gray alluded to in his post-match interview as well. What was your take on the goal, and do you think potentially Kieran Bowie could be that rock and roll star that we need?
Really, really impressed me when he came on again, just with his sheer presence, his strength up top. He just offers us something completely different. Although like his build and his height is similar to Miko, I feel like they're kind of chalk and cheese a little bit. They do different things, and they do different things better than each other. Sorry, I really, really like the look of Bowie. He took his goal really nicely. He likes obviously to come in off of that right hand side. He did it against Celtic at home as well when he hit the Edwin van der Sar. But it was a really, really good goal. I felt maybe at that point that momentum was with us completely and that we would go on and get another one, maybe another two, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. But no, Kieran Bowie, really, really top player. I think we've got a gem there. I just hope that he can continue it, throughout the rest of the season.
For sure. You've already touched on the fact that we could have potentially went on and got us, a third or a fourth goal. A couple of questions for you then. One, why do you think we weren't able to go and do that? A lot of our shots were off target. We were creating an okay amount, but we weren't really threatening the goalkeeper at that point. So what do you think was missing for us to go and get that third and fourth and kill off the game? And my second question is, how much of an impact do you feel that sub of taking Kukurevich off and putting Rocky on has played a part in it? Because David Gray has been heavily criticised for that, both on the radio stations and obviously on social media as well.
Well, for your first question, I've got two words for your answer, and that's Luke McKeown. That's what we were missing. I felt he was head and shoulders above the rest on the park on Saturday. He had a magnificent game, and if we get him in the door, it's going to really spark a little bit of creativity that we so desperately need in that midfield at the moment. There's just, I said to my old boy on Saturday, there's not a lick of creativity in that midfield at all. No one to kind of have that extra thought and play that killer pass in. It just feels like everyone is doing their job. No one's going above and beyond to make other things happen. Which again, and I've said this word about 100 times tonight, but it's frustrating. It's frustrating to see, considering the players that we've had throughout the years. Even Marcondes last year. Think back to Scott Allen, players like that, Scott Brown, Kevin Thompson, players like that would have ball through the eye of a needle, defence splitting passes, and we just don't have that at the moment, which is nippy. So I think that's what we lack, and that's why we can't score more goals. I think we're maybe lulled into a false sense of security with the games against Peterhead and fucking whoever it was else that we played in the League Cup. I can't mind.
About those types of players and those types of midfielders though as well.
We just don't have that at the
moment. I feel like at the minute it's been that long since we've had someone of that quality. I could go and live forever and never see Hibs get another type of midfielder like that. Do you know what I mean?
No, absolutely. And I think if we do get Luke McKeown in the door, then it'll make a big difference. Again, it's a big if we can get it done before the window shuts. Is it Saturday? It shuts Friday.
Is it not the first? Is it not?
Sunday? Oh, if it's the first, then I think that's Monday, right?
No,
because today's Tuesday, 27th. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure when it shuts, but I think if we can get him over the line, then it would be a big step in the right direction to solving some of the problems that are going on at the club at the minute. And just to touch on your second part of the question, I think that substitution kills us. It really does. A lot of people have been going, oh, why take him off and put Rocky on? And I get that. I get the frustration, because that's clearly where we've invited the pressure on by putting Rocky on. But if we see that game out at 2-1, David Gray, tactical genius. It's a masterclass in tactics from David Gray, because he's defended the lead. I just think that the way that we played after he made that substitution was far too cautious. We were inviting them on far too much. And, when you've got players like Simon Murray, who doesn't let up for a single second of the match, latching on to poor defending. Warren O'Hora, I mean, what are you doing, son, for that one? And, all you're going to do is shoot yourself in the foot. And they've got the quality now, Dundee, to really punish you. if you make mistakes like that.
No, you're right. 11 p.m. on the 30th, so Friday. So I was way off.
That's all right, mate. Don't worry about it.
Says here it was brought forward to ensure harmonisation with the major leagues in Europe. So there you go.
Wonder why they've done that, but it's still. Oh wait, is it 11 o'clock? Did you say?
Yeah, that's what it says. 11
Oh,
p.m.
that's weird because it's usually midnight. Eh?
I know.
Usually get an extra hour.
That'll be why that's what it says anyway. So we'll see. We'll see how it unfolds.
I wonder how much that extra hour like really impacts it though, to be fair.
I think it's just getting the deals or getting them registered.
Surely have it all done before that time though.
Think about how many deals we've had done 1, 2 in the morning, but the paperwork has been through, before the deadline. So listen, if clubs want to get something done, I'm sure they'll be able to get it done. We've had plenty last minute deals, deadline day deals get done as well. So back to the equaliser though, and back to the game as well. Some might say with that change it was the writing was on the wall and it was coming. Did you see it unfolding like that, even after the change? Because like other people may argue the other toss of the coin, like you make that change, you see the game out, and it's classed as good management for David Gray. But in this instance, it doesn't look like that. Obita obviously gets found out a little bit higher up the park. No one's tracking the runner. No one gets tight to Simon Murray, and he gets that goal.
Again, Sean, just a catalogue of errors. I feel like apart from the 2 goals and the one that was disallowed in the first half, I thought we defended pretty well. It's these individual lapses of concentration that are really, really killing us at the moment. And I think the way that David Gray set the team up after Rocky went on and Big Mick came off didn't help us at all, because you know that they're going to be pushing for it. And to invite the pressure on it just feels like we've just shot ourselves in the foot. But I thought that we would have had enough to see it out, personally. So it's not alarming to see that, that we can't, because I think Dundee are a good side and they will be up and in the conversation again this year. I think them not having Europe is a massive factor in how well they'll do again this year, because you've already seen Kilmarnock and St Mirren, struggling with the Thursday-Sunday schedule. And Hearts as well. Hearts are struggling at the moment. So I think Dundee not being in Europe will definitely kick them on. But we really should be seeing these games out. But I don't know, Sean. I don't know. I feel like I'm going on tangent after tangent.
We obviously had a lot of 2-2 draws last season as well.
Fucking so we did.
Yeah, so sorry to bring that up. And we've touched on the transfer market as well. You've mentioned Luke McCowan. Obviously, Dundee fans just need to stop crying your heart out, let him come down to Edinburgh and live out his dream as a Hibernian player. But to get back to the point that I was going to make, we had a lot of 2-2s last season. Do you think it's now a mentality within that squad of being only 1 goal ahead, and that's maybe played a factor in it? Is that something that we can maybe eradicate? Or because we have had a reasonably high turnover of players in key positions, i.e. goalkeeper, 2 centre halves, Bowie's came in, Quans came in, so it's not like these are wider positions. These are key decision-making positions on the pitch, and yet we've still conceded a late goal as well. What kind of things could we do to either eradicate that, or do you think it could potentially just be down to recruitment and making sure the team gels a little bit more and spends more time on the training park and on the pitch together?
I don't particularly think it's a mentality issue, Sean. I think it all boils down to the fact that we don't have enough creativity in the middle of the park to create better chances for our strikers to get on the end of. Because if we did, then the strikers are good enough, Miko's good enough, Kieran Bowie's clearly good enough to finish them off. And I think that is the bottom line. if you don't make the chances, you're not going to score goals. And to run the risk of sounding like Michael Owen here, when we don't score goals, we hardly ever win. And that's the bottom line. It really is. So I think that maybe you can look at the recruitment and say, have the players that we've brought in that have been coming in on permanence, because obviously Mizian and Emiliano last season clearly had a little bit about them. They were a bit more creative than what we've got in the building. I think the permanent signings you need to look at are the people that we're going for, that we're bringing in the door and giving 2-3 year deals, good enough to cut it at this level, to get us to where the fans expect to be, where the board expects us to be, where the manager expects us to be. Remains to be seen for this season, certainly. Again, I'll reiterate, if we get Luke McCowan in, I think that will be a step in the right direction. I think he'd really thrive in this team. Although if I was Luke McCowan right now, I don't know if I would be if I'd be making the trip down to Hibs. Let's hope that he doesn't listen, or he doesn't think like I do, and he does come down to Hibs. But no, I think the creativity is the main thing where we're struggling with, putting them away, and then in turn we're shipping them easily at the back. That's not down to the creativity in the middle of the park. But if we scored a couple more goals, then it wouldn't really matter. If we conceded one in the 92nd minute or the 90th minute, whenever it was that Simon Murray scored, 4-1 up, it wouldn't have mattered.
Is there any other areas of the pitch that you feel that we could maybe enhance our quality? And the reason I asked that as well is I just want to touch on the point that you just made about Luke McCowan maybe not actually being interested in coming down to Hibs because of the current state of the club. I was sitting watching the game at the weekend, and individually I think we have a lot of good players, good to great players. We still have a lot of average players, but as a team, and hopefully I'm wrong, and hopefully it doesn't pan out the way I think it's going to pan out this season, but watching that game at the weekend and watching the St Mirren one a couple of weeks ago does not fill me with any level of confidence, and I know there's a lot of change, like I've said, so the players will need to just become a little bit more fluid with each other, but yeah, I don't feel like we're in a good place at the minute regarding our team as a collective. So what other areas do you think we could potentially try? And I'm not going to sit here and ask you for names, because we could bring out a couple of nobodies on loan on transfer deadline day as backups. Luke McCowan's offer is under consideration, but I've absolutely no doubt the club will probably have an option 2 or 3 lined up if we can't get that over the line. So where would you like to see us strengthen, and what level of quality would you like to see brought in?
Well, I think Luke McCowan, for starters. we need to get that one done. I feel like I'm awfully hung up on this. And if it doesn't happen, then I will be very, very upset. But I think, first and foremost, get him in the door. Then I think we need to start looking at getting another centre-half in as well. Not particularly because I think Ekpiteta and O'Hora and Rocky aren't good enough. I just don't think 3 senior centre-halves is enough for us. If you want to drop one of them, then you can. If you want to drop 2 of them, then you can't. It's as simple as that. I might just list every single area in the park here. Fullbacks, I think we're all right for fullbacks. Obviously, we've got Cadden and Cadden, who can cover both right and left back. Miller and Abita. So I think we're all good there. It's maybe is Megwa away out on loan? Did I read?
No.
Is Megwa away? All right. So I'd probably keep Megwa about, because he's good cover for right back, and I think he can play in the middle as well. So I would still be looking to bring one more centre half in. Midfield, I think McCowan would do us. Out wide, obviously we brought in Junior Hoylett. I keep forgetting that we've got him.
Did we?
Because he's not been in the squads. But I think if I'm being greedy, I'd maybe take another wide player and another central forward as well. Not particularly as starters. I think another wide player, especially if Harry McCurdy leaves, definitely a starter if Ellie Ewan leaves. And I think maybe a backup for Miko and Kieran Bowie. I'd like to see Kieran Bowie deployed more through the middle than off to the left or right. I think that we'll get
Do
more
you think that would
out
come
of
at the
him.
sacrifice of Miko though, or would you rather it was the two of them up top together?
I hope not. I think the two of them could probably make a pretty good partnership. But like I said before, they're similar builds, they're similar heights. They're maybe not going to be put together because of that. It's David Gray's maybe going to think it's one or the other. He sees them a lot more than I do. He's not going to listen to what I fucking say on the Hibs Ramble and go, oh, Liam said that I should play both of them up front together. When I don't, you know what I mean? That's not going to happen. I'd like to see them have a partnership. I think I'd just like two strikers up top. I've always liked two strikers up top. So that's just the way that I would play it. But I think we need to get someone else in, maybe a wee loan for Bournemouth or something, just to kind of bulk out,
Maybe it's over.
just to kind of bulk out the quality of the squad a wee bit. Not in terms of getting people in who are better than what we've got already, because I think, like I said before, the squad's good. So I don't think that there needs to be many, starting additions made. I think we've done really, really well over the summer to get players in that will probably make a difference in the long term. They're just not doing it at the moment.
Do you think we could see any players get shipped half the world away?
Yeah.
Sent on loan, transfers. Who do you think we could still see hit the exit door? And do you think that's maybe why we've maybe not pulled the trigger on another one or two?
Yeah, Ellie Ewan, Rocky, Harry McCurdy probably, Dylan Levitt maybe out the door, Josh Campbell possibly. No, maybe not Josh Campbell. I think David Gray really likes Josh Campbell, but we're quite chalker in that centre midfield position. There's a lot. We've got quantity over quality in terms of the sixes, the eights, and the tens.
Definitely do have Quan to tell you that's correct, yeah.
Yeah. So we could maybe do a wee trim there. Ellie Ewan, I would hate to lose him, but if he doesn't want to be at the club, then morally we shouldn't be keeping him here, and financially it doesn't make sense. He's can fetch us too much money to sit and rot in the resis. You know what I mean? That's not what we should be doing as a club. If he wants to go, then we'll be able to get a couple of million for him at the very least, maybe a half decent sell on fee, and then that can be then reinvested into a starting winger. In terms of other names, I don't know. I think we'll just need to wait and see what happens towards the end of the window. I think the most important thing was to get your Riley Harbottles out, Jojo Wallacotts and stuff. Just players that weren't playing, that were maybe taking up a half decent percentage of the wage bill. I think the most important thing is get them off the books and replace them with players who are actually going to play and make a difference. So in terms of that, I think we've done okay.
So what you're saying though is, if Ben Kensel and Malcolm Mackay are listening, that if they do not get the chequebook out, if they do not sign the players, you're going to be shipping yourself half the world away and getting on the cigarettes and alcohol. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm going to be doing that anyway because I'm away to Tenerife on
That's true.
Thursday.
You are married with children though, so
I am.
you need to watch yourself.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
And I have met Megan. She's electric, so you got to keep an eye on that one.
No, she's top class.
Moving on. In fact, no, Ellie Ewan, if you are listening, don't look back in anger.
Yeah.
Stay with the Highbees, be part of David Gray's master plan, and let's move on. Anyway, talking about moving on. Killie at the weekend.
Yep.
They've obviously got a huge test on Thursday. They are 2-0 down to Copenhagen, so they do look like they're going to go out barring what I would probably class as a miracle.
Yeah.
Down at Rugby Park, they're obviously going to go hell for leather and try and win that game and qualify, regardless of whether they get it through and they pull it off or whether they get dumped out. How either way of that result going, how do you think that could impact? It's not going to impact our selection. I don't think it's going to impact the way that we face the game. But how do you think it's going to impact the type of team that we face?
It's a difficult one. I think you've got to assume that Derek McInnes knows that he's going to be up against it. It's a difficult situation for Kilmarnock, I feel, because it's 2-0. They're not down and out. You know, I think a good performance, you could maybe take it to extra time. But at the same time, they've not done well in the league so far. They need to get points on the board. Your league's your bread and butter. They're not going to win the Conference League. So, and I know the supporters won't look at it like that because, you know, if we hadn't put a full side out to face Aston Villa at home, I would have been furious. So, I think you've got to believe that you're still in it for a Killie point of view. I think they will go hell for leather. But maybe Derek McInnes in the back of his mind, you know, if it gets to half time, 50, 55 minutes-ish, and they're, you know, 2-0 down on the night, 1-0 down on the night, he's maybe going to think, right, this is where I start to, you know, take the players off that I don't want to get injured. You know, the tie's gone. Got to focus on Sunday. So, I don't know. I think it will just depend on how the game's going. If Kilmarnock end up getting a half-decent result, I think we'll see either then a depleted Kilmarnock side or a tired Kilmarnock side come the time that we play them. So, I don't know. And don't get this twisted. And this isn't from a green-tinted glasses point of view. I really want Kilmarnock to do well. I wanted St Mirren to do really well in Europe. I love it when Scottish teams, apart from Hearts, Celtic and Rangers and Aberdeen, do well in Europe. I think it reflects well on this league, and I really like the fact that Killie and St Mirren were in Europe this season. I feel like it's a good advert for our league. But no, listen, they did well to get to where they are. It's going to be maybe a bit of a difficult task for them, but you know, good luck to them. And if they manage to pull it off, here's hoping that they're absolutely knackered for Sunday and we give them a good pumping.
I think you should probably title this episode "Let There Be Love" because that's Kilmarnock, St Mirren, and Dundee. You gave a lot of praise to this evening.
I know, and I tell you what, I usually say that I hate everyone apart from Hibs, so I clearly don't. I've clearly got over it a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Are
you proud of me?
I wouldn't go that far. There's a long road ahead. My feelings for you are up in the sky at the minute. But don't worry, I'll try and bring it on down a wee bit for you and I'll mellow out. Now, moving on, Liam. Questions. Questions.
Now it's time to answer the Hibs Ramble listener questions.
Now, I have remembered to ask the right one first. I do often forget. But hey now, we're here. What did you have for dinner?
Not had my dinner yet, which is it's sad because it's 9:20 at night. What I did have though was took the bairns to McDonald's drive-through to get a Happy Meal for their dinner.
That's nice.
And
maybe my opinion of you should change.
Yeah, well, it was maybe done in selfish reasons though, because I was like, well, I'm not going to get my dinner until later on, and Megan's making a pasta bake, and that takes quite a long time in oven, like 40 minutes-ish. So, like, if you're starving, it's no ideal. So I got myself an emergency double cheeseburger, just to tide me over.
Of course.
That's the words that I used, to tide me over.
You did turn up an hour late for recording, but it's fine. I'll allow it if you got yourself a wee Mackey's as well.
That wasn't. This was at like fucking 5 o'clock.
That is
We're at
dinner
20 to
time.
9 now.
So what you're
That
saying
had
is
nothing to do with it, Sean. Had nothing to do with it.
foreshadowing, eh? You were looking
Yeah.
out for yourself, and I think that's all that matters.
Listen, me and you're going to talk tonight about the disrespect that you're showing me here. I'm not happy about it. But no, listen, past the bake tonight. Double cheeseburger earlier on. Sorted.
Good lad. I had a shepherd's pie, and it was
Ooh.
delish. Yeah.
Homemade.
Chloe made, so if you want to class that as homemade, then yeah, that's good enough for me.
Did she make it in the house?
It was made in the house, yeah. It wasn't
Ah,
made
well, see?
outside the confines of the house, so yeah, homemade.
Bash.
No, it was really good.
Was it, so shepherd's pie, is that usually beef or is it that usually lamb?
Oh, I get the two mixed up. I can't remember which one's cottage and which
What
one's
did you
shepherd.
have? What meat did you have tonight?
I couldn't tell you. She made it. I just
Well,
scanned
get her in and let's find out.
the rest of the questions. Let's move on to that instead of talking about food. I know we could have a podcast about food, especially someone like yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Listen, I'm fucking fed up of you, by the way.
That looks like a. Do you know what that T-shirt looks like? It looks like a B-Tech Hibs strip for the other year without the badge and the sponsor on it. Do you not think
It
so?
does, eh? Yeah, well, it's white.
Yeah,
It's
that-
white around the cuffs
on
and the collar.
On the camera, that's shown up as like a washed out mint green.
Well, it's a washed out white because I've had it for ages.
Yes, sorry, questions. Obviously, we've asked John's what was for dinner, but he also said where do Hibs need to improve before the end of the window, which we've obviously both spoke about.
Rewind, John.
I kind of agree with what you're saying, Liam. I feel like we do need to strengthen in those areas. It needs to be the right type of player, though. And if we're losing a starter, we need to replace them with a starter. And I feel like anyone that we do bring in, whether they're going to be a squad player or not, need to be of the quality of what's already in the starting 11, so it can at least push them a wee bit more.
I think to put it kind of like basically, I don't think we need to improve on many positions at the moment. And I know that maybe sounds a bit stupid because we've only got 1 point. But I think the level of performance that we put in on Saturday and at times against Celtic at Parkhead, I don't think there needs to be wholesale changes in the starting 11.
Yeah.
And that's just my opinion. And I know that other people, maybe think that we need to improve on a lot of different areas. But for me, I don't think we need to see many starters come in between now and the end of the window. I think one definitely in McKeown, another one if Yuan leaves, and if there's any available for centre half, then get them in. But if we can't get a starter in at centre half, then I'm more than happy just going for a depth option.
Stephen Bell, question: will we ever keep a clean sheet? Answer: no need to discuss, as the answer is no. Fair.
Couldn't agree more.
I know. Another questions came in as well after the showing. After that showing, is McKeown really worth 750k? Not a chance, by the way. Pull the plug and spend the money on Plan B if there is one, which completely contradicts the statement that you made earlier on.
Football's a funny old game, isn't it?
That he ran the show and he was the best player in the park. I'm not inclined to agree with that. I didn't think anyone stood out overly much in the game, but I'm also not in the camp that he's not worth 750k. If Dundee are putting a figure of 750k on it, that's how much Dundee value him at. Similar to Lauren Shanklin isn't worth 5 million in the last year of his contract for Hearts, but he is to Hearts because if they qualify for third, that's how much they'll get. So, yeah, it's a complete opposite take to what you said earlier on.
It's a funny old game, isn't it? Again, it's a game of opinions. I mean, not everyone's going to agree with me, and if you don't agree with me, then you are probably a little bit simple. But it's Listen, people didn't rate Derek Riordan when he was at Hibs. People didn't rate Dom Malonga when he was at Hibs. So,
I would love
people
to
have
meet
got.
someone that didn't rate Derek Riordan, that's for sure.
And I think maybe didn't rate is maybe a bit of a push. Maybe just didn't think that he was as good as everyone made him out to be. But no,
They certainly
listen,
didn't like the fact he didn't track back, but they also don't like that about Elian, and people's
no tracky backy.
are different, don't
All
they?
the best players are no tracky backy.
Correct.
All
That's
the best players.
The players that don't track back are the players that you pay to go and watch because they're that good going forward.
Yes, absolutely. I think if we do end up getting McKeown for 750 grand, it's a great deal for us. It's maybe not the best deal for Dundee. I think he probably could be worth a lot more. If he comes to Hibs and he has a good season and a half, then he almost certainly will be worth a lot more. But last year his contract, Dundee I don't think have an awful lot of wiggle room in demanding higher fees. So if we get him, great. If we don't, then I hope we do have a plan B lined up, and I hope he is just as good.
If not better.
Well, then he wouldn't be plan B, would he? He'd be plan A.
He might just gel better with the squad that we have more than what Luke might. You just never know.
I know, but his hair. I like his hair.
Didn't
He's a bit Slim Shady-ish, eh?
I could have my windows mixed up here, but did McCurdy and Kukarevich not come in the same window both on deadline day? And look who we would rather have.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Kukarevich came in earlier, and then we got McCurdy over the line. Everyone was buzzing with McCurdy. Everyone was, I don't know who this boy is, as in Kukarevich, and look who's had a better Hibs career. And
I suppose so. Yeah. I suppose you're right. It doesn't always work like that, though, does it? But
no.
I think the fact that everyone's watched McKeown now for last season at least, and he stood out for me and I can't say it was an awful lot of times because I didn't watch Dundee an awful lot apart from when they were playing Hibs. He stood out for me in the games that we played against him. I really like the way that he kind of runs the show in the midfield, and he does a little bit of everything. He does the doggy work going back, the way he's good at getting his foot on the ball and making things happen in the attacking part of the pitch. He's clearly got, like I said, I think a couple of weeks ago, good leadership qualities. I think he would be a really, 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 really good addition. And if we can get him, great. If we can't, then here's hoping that Plan B is just as good. And I've just completely realised that I've repeated what I said 5 minutes ago. I'm starving, Sean. This is what it is.
Haley's made reference to the fact that it's another 2-2 draw this time, obviously against a strong Dundee side. Not in the manner that we're used to, though. How do you think we can be so consistently poor at defending no matter who we bring in?
It's $1 million question, really, isn't it? I think if we knew the answers, we'd be on the coaching team. But I don't know. It's like a curse, really, isn't it? Doesn't matter who we play, what defenders we use, what goalie we have, what manager we've got, who the owners are. I think the only constant is the supporters. Maybe it's our fault. Or maybe we should move stadium or something. Do you think maybe that would play Ainsley Park for a season?
Goes back to the point where you said it's not a mentality issue. It's a mentality issue somewhere.
Well, actually, Ken, what thing is, I think it might actually be our fault. Because I was listening to Sports Sound on Saturday night, driving home. And they were saying Hibs in the last 2 seasons have conceded 59 goals in both seasons. And then the season before, I think it was like 40, 48, 49, something like that. And then the season before, which was the COVID season, we conceded 35. Now, the fans weren't there.
You don't even need to try and win me over with this argument. I could have told you...
We are the problem.
I could have told you a lifetime ago that Hibs will play better and perform better if Hibs fans are not in the stadium. And all that then happened. I'm absolutely no surprised. What I am surprised about is that although we had no fans in the stadium, we still managed to bottle 2 cups. Potentially 3 if you include the one that got played the season after, but was from the season before that Hearts knocked us out. So
I wonder what would it see
no,
if
that
the
would not
same
be
team
classed
had
as a
won that cup
treble.
twice. What would have happened? That would
It
have been
would
so
not be
weird.
classed as a treble, that's for sure.
Would it have?
No, it wouldn't have, is what I said.
Oh, right.
Because one was technically classed as the season before. So
Yeah, but Ken, what gets me is that they were wearing the current, not the current. They were wearing the COVID season strips.
I guess we'll never know.
Yeah.
Your father has also asked the question about any Tenerife bars that may or may not be showing Killie Hibs so he can avoid it, so not to spoil his holiday. Obviously, we wish all, or almost all, the McClellans a happy holiday when it
That
comes.
was funny, man. I didn't see that. That's
Yeah.
funny. That made me chuckle.
Yeah, do any of our hosts know of any bars in Tenerife that may be showing the Hibs Killie game so I can avoid and not spoil my holiday?
I was going to say, when you were reading that question out, I was going to say, if he thinks that he's going to the boozer to watch Hibs Killie, he's fucking dreaming. He's going to be looking after.
Going to do that, and he's going to be.
He's going to be looking after my bairns, and I'll be going to the boozer to watch Hibs Killie. But sounds like neither of us will be.
Liam, that brings us to a close already, a short one this evening.
Have we not got a quiz?
Yes, we do have a quiz. That is a great memory that you have. Before we get on to that quiz, actually, some of you may or may not have noticed this evening, Liam wanted to talk about it at the beginning of the episode. I told him not to. We have been slipping in Oasis song titles throughout this episode, mainly myself. Liam slipped in a couple. So if you've not noticed, what are you up to? Go back and listen again. Count how many you think we have listed. Little clue, there's 22. So good luck. Go back.
Because we
try and
need each
find all 22. Before we get on to the quiz, Liam,
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and ask you if you are going to try and get a ticket, because that you'll probably stand a better chance winning the lottery or even the Euro Millions than getting a Oasis ticket. But on a scale of 1 to you have your jacket, shades and Adidas shoes on, how buzzing are you?
Pretty buzzing. It's class, really, isn't it? It is class. I think the excitement's maybe taken a little bit away from it because of the music Fabrizio Romano ruining it again. You know, everyone knew it was happening last week. It would have been cool if we'd have just woken up this morning and they'd announced it, and there was no.
What was a nice wee bit though is when it was getting teased and it was getting announced, or before the official announcement came out, people were then starting to think that it was actually Man City bringing out their 4th kit, which is designed by Noel Gallagher. So there was like a couple of hours where people were like, "Oh, it better not fucking be this 4th kit. That's an absolute shit."
No, there was too many that were like. There was no smoke without fire and stuff like that. It's class, you know. For me, I was. When was it they did Murrayfield before 2009?
2009.
So I would have been, like 11, 12? 11 or 12.
16. Yeah, I was 16.
So, I mean, back then, you know, I liked Oasis, but I wasn't really into like music or that. But, you know, as I've kind of grown up through my teens and through my 20s, you know, you begin to love bands like Oasis and stuff like that. So it would be like a once in a lifetime opportunity to actually go and see them. I've seen Noel and I've seen Liam, so you know I've seen most of the songs live, but it would just be something else to see them both on the stage together. I just hope that they can be civil long enough. I mean, 2025 in the summer, next August is a long way away.
The Edinburgh gigs are about 8 gigs in, 6, 7, 8 gigs in, so they could have.
You know, one of them might turn up with a black eye. You never know.
Have killed each other by this point. So, Yeah, so obviously we are both absolutely delighted, and that's why I wanted to, throughout this episode, slip in those song titles. Like I said, there's been 22 that I have slipped in. Probably could have done more, but couldn't really keep a straight face. So
And it's actually quite nice to see the third Gallagher brother making a bit of a name for himself. Obviously signed for Atletico Madrid this week.
better looking than the other two, that's for sure.
Nah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, so we'll bring it to a close in a second. I've got a wee quiz for Liam, but yeah, go back, try and pick out the 22 song titles, or if you didn't get 22,
Or don't.
let us know how many you got, or maybe you picked up on it first time round. Who knows?
Or maybe you just like Blur better.
Losers.
I
Yeah.
like Blur. I've seen Blur at the Barras, actually.
Better. Right. So, as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, it's episode 98, Liam. 98.
Wow, where does the time go, man?
What was also great is the year 1998. Hibs maybe weren't too great, but when have we ever been too great? So I've got a five question quiz. I've got one prepared for episode 99 for next week as well. But episode 98 is obviously what you're going to get. So
Is this about 90? Is this all about 1998?
It's about Hibs in 1998, obviously.
Oh, fucking hell.
Yeah. And don't act like you're not surprised that the quiz has just been announced out of thin air. And you can put your phone down and stop Googling 1998. I have
What
taken
was
into
Christmas number
consideration
one in 1988?
your young age. However, I've tried to make the questions as easy enough without them being too easy. So everyone at home can play along. I could pretty much put my mortgage on the fact that you will either equal or do better than what Liam is about to do. So, Liam, I'll start you off nice and early. Who was?
Are we having a wee league table here? If you're doing another one,
It's only
Craig
going
and
to
that
be,
next week.
it's only like a 2-week special, so
I was going to say aye because you can't just keep
no,
going.
it's not worth it. Start you in nice and easy. Hibs manager in 1998. Who was it?
Was McLeish, wasn't it?
Correct.
1 for 1, boys.
In the
W's in the chat.
In the calendar year of 1998, who scored the most goals for Hibernian?
Can I come back to it?
Not the 97-98 season, not the 98-99 season.
Just the calendar year.
The calendar year. We can come back to it if you want. Or
Let's come back to it. Let's come back to it.
I can give you 3 options if you wish.
Actually, give me 3 options.
Okay. Option 1, Mixu Paalainen. Option 2, Stevie Crawford. Option 3, Kenny Miller.
I don't think it's Mixu. I don't think he was there then. Kenny Miller, it seems maybe a bit soon. I'll go Stevie Crawford.
You're correct, it is Stevie Crawford.
Go on!
At the end of the 97-98 season, where did we finish in the league? I'll give you a bonus point if you get the position as well.
Where did we finish in the league? We finished bottom, did we not?
Yep, we did.
So it would have been 10th.
Correct. There was only 10 teams in the league. Well done. 3 for 3. Or
Wow.
maybe,
Well, kind of 4 for
2.5.
4, really.
Maybe 2.5. Because I had to give you options.
Nah. I still used my big brain to get the Stevie Crawford question over the line.
In the summer of 1998,
Yes.
we signed Mixu Paalainen.
Mm-hmm.
Where did we sign him from?
See, now I know that he played for Dundee United, but did we sign him from Dundee United? I'm going to say Dundee United.
It is a team with a similar colour strip, but it is not Dundee United.
Blackpool.
It's Wolves.
We signed him from Wolves.
Yeah, 75k. Signed him from Wolves.
When did he play for Dundee United? Was that after Hibs?
And that was before. It was before.
Oh,
He
right.
came over to Scotland to Dundee United and then travelled about from there.
So it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that wrong.
We ended 1998 with Le Coq Sportif as our kit manufacturer. But who did we start the year with?
I think it was Mitre, no?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
I'm
Well,
writer. I'm writer with Mitre.
Yes, you're
Wow, can you believe it? 4 out of 5 on the questions.
very well done. I'm impressed.
Thanks, mate. I'm
It's a shame
impressed myself,
because,
actually.
Next week's one, I would probably say is a little bit harder. A wee bit harder.
Well,
So
probably,
see.
aye.
We'll see.
If you've tailored that one for me, then you would have made it a wee bit easier. Boost my ego a little bit. You wouldn't want me going on holiday being all depressed and sad and that because I got fucking nothing on the quiz.
That's true. That is true.
Or maybe you would.
You would
I don't know.
And then thinking it all over. You'd be re-listening to the pod on the plane, thinking, "How did I not get this right?" Which is
Over and
probably
over again,
what
man.
The listeners will also be doing. So yeah, let us know out of 5 how many you got. Yeah, give us a shout, and hopefully you enjoyed that one. But that wraps us up, Liam. I'll let you go for your second dinner, and yes, I am classing it as my second dinner. But thank you very much for joining me this evening, mate.
The double cheeseburger's a starter, man.
For you, it
This is the entree.
enjoy your holiday, and to anyone that's not going on holiday, enjoy the rest of your week. And if you're travelling to Kilmarnock, hopefully it's a successful trip for you, and hopefully you have many pies. Have a good week, lads and ladettes. See you later.
Fingers crossed. See you later. Thanks for
Bye.
listening. Bye.
Let's get ready to rumble.